Hello and welcome to the Convoy podcast, dedicated to our gym, Convoy Strength, where we promote strength, integrity, respect, and unity. My name is Eric, your host, alongside Taras Chavara, the owner, founder, and director of Convoy Strength, located here in San Diego, California. Today is December 22nd, 2020. How are we doing today, Taras?
Good. Thanks, Eric. I'm really excited to be here. The first podcast was awesome. I'm excited to do a second one. We got a special guest today, Zack Bartell, owner of SoCal Powerlifting. How are you doing, Zack?
Doing well, man. Excited to be on here and spread some knowledge and talk shop.
Sounds good. Eric, so we'll just dive right into it. Let's talk about kind of the beginning of this whole pandemic when it kicked off and how you responded as a business. Eric, do you have any specific questions for Zack?
Yeah, I know you guys have a lot of people over there helping you out at SoCal Powerlifting. I saw your most recent post with you and your crew, and I'd love to know more about kind of, how many employees that your gym has and kind of the process you guys have had to go along with, especially during this pandemic.
Yeah, most definitely. So the team consists of, and I always mess the numbers up, so sorry guys if I miss one or two, but it's 8 coaches. So we've got a head coach, then we have a bunch of coaches underneath him, and then we've got a full-time general manager. We've got a full-time marketing or part-time marketing guy. And then we've got just kind of a couple of people on the outside too, like admin assistants, things like that. So it's like a team of total about 11, I believe, is what the team looks like. Mainly coaches coaching powerlifting.
That's awesome. Yeah. So very similar to Convoy Strength. Obviously we have a lot to catch up to for coaching, but that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And so, that's the structure. It's been very organic, adding people in kind of as the need grows, finding the right people. It's all about, for me, it's all about culture first. So just making sure that they fit, our brand, our culture, what we represent, making sure they're, everything we want them to be, and taking them through kind of a lengthy internship onboarding process, just making sure that the coaching knowledge is up to par. They do it, roughly our way, which is, I feel like important when you're all under one roof. And just making sure that at the end of the day, good freaking people that can make the place a better place. And so that's what I've always looked for when growing the team and surrounding, my gym, myself with outstanding individuals. And I think we've hit the ball out of the park on that one.
Awesome. Yeah. And I was kind of listening to your talk about finding a new space to lease. Sounds like a nightmare. I mean, people don't even realize the back end, what goes into, trying to get a small business off the ground, but even to run and maintain it. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah. And I know you can relate. I know you've moved 3 times. Same here. In your shoebox as well. Same, got a little bigger and then went bigger from there. And, for those of you listening, if you ever want to open a gym, most landlords don't want gyms. Gyms mean more people, means more parking. We're not offices. We're loud, we're noisy, we're obnoxious. So finding a spot for a gym is very difficult. It's not easy. And I've definitely had my own fair share of little hiccups along the way when it comes to, location. It's never an easy get when it comes to that stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, just finding a location alone could take years. I mean, my last location took me over a year to find, and then another year to build out. So, but we can talk about that, another time. Let's dive into this whole year. I mean, obviously it's brought its own challenges. Yeah. What are some of the biggest hurdles that you've had to overcome as a gym in the beginning of back in March?
Yeah, no. So I think the biggest thing is always going to be unknowns. For me, I'm a big believer and we can control a lot of, our own destiny, right? And our own outcomes. But this was, probably the first time where I was like, this is a little out of my control. I can't control a virus. I don't know, what's going to happen there. And we didn't really understand the severity of it too in the beginning, right? We weren't sure kind of where it landed as far as, how bad it was going to get. So for me, I just tried to do what I can. When it came to, protecting my people, implementing the right policies, from the start, we stayed open. In fact, we stayed open the entire time. I stayed open under the radar for the first 2 months, limiting it to 5 people in the gym every hour and nothing more, nothing less. And then wide open since May 15th with policies in play, with distancing, with, wearing a mask if you're comfortable doing so, with hand sanitizing stations, and just making sure that we did everything we could to keep our people safe and healthy. Because if anything, it's the most important thing right now is health. both physically and mentally, to overcome this virus. That's something you can control, is your physical health, right? And so from the get-go, it was all about how can we support. And then for the members who weren't comfortable training, which I completely understood, we actually distributed equipment. So we had a whole equipment checkout list. You could check out equipment, reserve things, and we helped, either we handed off, delivered it to you, or you picked it up, and we had some protocols there. So no matter what, people had access to equipment and could keep training, whether it was in the safety of their own home or, in the gym. And so we just did that the whole entire time. And I think I had, maybe 7 members put their membership on hold and 1 person quit out of, at that time, 200 plus members. So that's something I'm very proud of, is keeping the membership intact and keeping things moving onwards and upwards.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I mean, it's very similar to what we did. Unfortunately, we couldn't stay as much under the radar for whatever reason. There's a lot of people that decided to complain about us. But, how have you overcome any other obstacles? Did you get any opposition as far as keeping open? Did you get any kind of negative feedback from that?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a few things. I mean, I had the cops visit one time, and we both share the same lawyer. We've got a good gal in our corner, and Melissa Fulgencio of Uplift Law. And I always ask her. I just try to be logical, ask her the right questions, and try to make my own decisions based off her advice. And for me, I think the cops coming out was more of like a fear tactic. Someone complained about our noise. Our neighbors at our location didn't really like us very much, so I think that was them. I turned the cops away, said, sorry, that was my coach's training inside. And they said they can't do that. I said, okay, I'll let them know. And that was it. And they never bothered us again. I was very lucky. I lived in the city we're in Irvine is pretty pro business. And they're pro economy, and they honestly have supported us. Actually, one of the city council members, I've talked to him personally. He's visited us, checked out our facility, did like a walk through all that, and give us even a certificate of like gratitude for providing health and fitness to the city of Irvine. So, and that all happened in the last like handful of months, right? So wow, deep into this stuff. Yeah. So as far as kind of handling the obstacles, I think the biggest thing was I stopped focusing on growth and more focusing on the people in the building or around the building and the people we already were working with, and just said, okay, hey, look, we don't need to grow. If we don't grow, that's fine. I want to maintain. Let's focus, double down on the members. Let's make sure that we're continuing to provide the value we've promised, whether it's giving them the equipment, whether it's switching their online training to be at home workouts, whether it's, getting them gym access they need, whatever we could do to support. We just stepped up to the plate there. And so that would be the biggest thing, is just we doubled down on our people and made sure everyone stayed together. We even brought forth some virtual Zoom events, like gym events for community building. We did probably like 5 trivia nights and had a blast. Everyone would drink their cocktails on the Zoom and play trivia. And we had one guy who's like a PhD that would win every time. He's a PhD in like history, so it's super easy. But yeah, either way. So just doing what we could to keep the glue, and that was, I think, what actually propelled us forward and eventually upwards. I mean, we grew a ton during the pandemic, I think, because we stayed open, because we did the right things, because we kept people safe, and just made the people the priority more than anything.
That's awesome, Zach. I mean, it's great to hear. I mean, logically, we look at the numbers, right? As far as, we know the gyms are not contributing massively to this. I mean, the numbers are astronomically small, especially for a small micro gym like us, where it's such a controlled environment. It's not a 24-hour fitness. So how do you, for me, a big obstacle was gaining the confidence in our members and letting them know we're not discrediting this pandemic, but at the same time, we have to be kind of reasonable and, look at our business individuals. So what have you done to kind of educate members and just the community as far as why you're not a threat to the health of your community?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm a big believer in kind of being able to self-govern and making your own decisions, whether you do what you want to do every day or what you want to wear, things like that, right? So for me, it was more about, hey, we're here. We're doing everything right. If you want to be here, great. If not, I understand, because everyone's got their own set of situation. They've got their own, home situation, the people they live with, people they know, and their own set of, their own health complications and things like that. So I never, ever took the route of trying to push the education. Do I have an opinion about, COVID and kind of the severity of it? For sure. But I try to stay as Switzerland as possible, just because I don't want that to seep into anything. And so I came from a perspective of, I just want to support you, wherever you want to go, whether you want to be in the gym, whether you want to decide to put your membership membership on hold, be at home, whether you want to train at home and, buy some equipment and you need my help picking stuff out, then by all means. I even had some members buy stuff and I said, hey, look, I'll buy it from you when you're done. When you want to come back, I'll buy your bars that you just bought. And I did that. So it was more about that. Have I maybe talked a little bit about stats and things like that? For sure. There's been maybe one email I sent out that had like a really cool infographic that I had found. I think Melissa even posted it one time. This was a few months ago. And I think it was maybe a couple months ago as we started to see cases starting to rise again. And as we started to be able to maybe predict that there were going to be some more lockdowns again, I just posted the infographic, talking about how gyms have, consisted of like 0.006% of COVID cases or transmission or something like that. And I just said, hey, look, here's this infographic. I found this interesting. Take a look. But I try not to push my own beliefs on this because unfortunately, even though it's a health issue, it's become a political issue. And so I try to stay as neutral as possible there.
Yeah, I heard that, Zach. We've run into our own issues this whole year. And I'm sure you've seen that. As a business, and I believe this from day one, is you got to stay neutral, especially when it comes to those controversial topics. And unfortunately, like you said, this has gotten a lot of political kind of push behind it. So as long as we're being smart and doing what we can for, keep our members healthy, other than that, we should definitely, like you said, stay out of the that discussion.
It's all that matters. We do our part and we let them choose what they want to do from there.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's awesome that you've done everything you can to stay open and keep open for your members. That's great.
Yeah.
What's in the future? Do you have any plans for your facility and kind of moving into 2021?
Yeah. So we've grown a lot this year. We've pretty much more than doubled membership. I think we started the year around 150 or 160. We're almost at 400 members now. Obviously, back in June, we moved to a larger space, which allowed us to, accommodate more people, still with time slots, still limiting the amount of bodies in the building, things like that. And so, I think where we're at right now is focusing on continuing to improve the space. I think in this year, we've invested well over like $100K, $120,000 in just equipment and build out and, things like that. So for me, I'm kind of in this phase like, hey, in this location, I think this location is kind of the end all be all for the most part, unless I saw a grand slam of a location pop up on, some sort of site that I could check out. But I really want to make this, the nicest kind of powerlifting gym, the most aesthetic you're going to find, and then continue to hammer home, the coaching services. I wouldn't be surprised if in 2021 we actually cap membership. Especially if, COVID does persist and it gets to the point where people are struggling to reserve slots and train. I never want to be a gym where you have to wait in line to get in, or you can only train X amount of times per week because it's too busy. That's not fair to your clients. So I could see us capping membership. It's something we've talked about, and just kind of focusing on raising client value and hammering home, value more on top of what we're already doing. And then from there too, obviously getting into kind of the online sector of things. Everyone wants to be an online coach and have a huge, YouTube and all this stuff. I don't necessarily see us going that route too much. I see us doing some more on the content side, remotely. I know my team is also super stoked about us continuing to kind of push apparel and get into the e-commerce realm, which again, I support and love. Do I think we're going to be the next hate brand and, stuff like that? No. But do I think our brand, do we have some cool designs and I think a cool culture and brand behind all those designs? For sure. So I do think we can see some success there, but it's going to be continuing to focus on our meat and potatoes. It's powerlifting coaching. It's gym access. It's having this community, this culture, this space where people can go and, get better, get stronger, whatever it is, and enjoy the company of the people next to them at the same time. Distance, of course. But we're, somewhere where you look forward to going every day. That's the biggest thing, and continuing to never lose sight of that as we experience continued growth.
That's great. That's awesome. I love to hear it. Do you have any plans as far as expansion beyond? You said this is kind of your ultimate, your home, but do you have any plans to branch out even farther outside of Irvine?
Yeah, people ask me that all the time, because I think most people think when you have a brick and mortar business that the logical thing is to duplicate, is to create more locations. And do I see that being a thing? I say no, but honestly, you never know. I really don't see us having multiple locations, because then we'd have to duplicate and split up the team. And I think there's just a lot of headaches that come with that. I just think we've gotten, obviously we've worked very hard, but we've also gotten very lucky about the location we're in, the people we serve. If we were to create another location, it would have to be in, San Diego, it would have to be in LA, it'd have to be in a place to where it doesn't pull from our own, base clientele already, and a place where it's, the population is dense enough, the socioeconomic status is high enough to kind of afford our rates, and from a business perspective, making a good decision there. So I don't necessarily see that being a thing. Again, I see it being more of like a, perfecting what we've got going on and branching out remotely more so. Personally, I've personally started branching out a little bit more into the business consulting game and getting into, I coach business owners now, mainly in the fitness industries, meal prep companies, other gyms, personal trainers, online, fitness influencer type of people, and how to grow their brand, their business, and market themselves a little bit more too. So personally, actually, I spend quite a bit of my time now doing that. Because like mentorship and teaching and spreading knowledge is kind of like where I've definitely found a lot of my own personal value. So that's kind of where I see things going, is, me doing a little bit more of that, the gym continuing to kill it and grow with the team we've got, and just doing that. And then if it makes sense, if something again pops up, if there's a deal that's too good to pass down, could I see us, getting a bigger space from here? For sure. Could I see us creating another location if the iron's hot? Yes, maybe. It's like I never want to say no to potential opportunities, but I do think the growth will be mainly in the remote side as we go into 2021.
That's great. And I think for me personally, that's my favorite thing about business, is how much freedom there is in creativity. Yeah. You're not locked into, here's a small, narrow path you have to follow. I mean, you could literally do whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part about business. I always say business is the ultimate sport, right? It's there's nothing like it, just because there's so many different directions you can take it in. You can go digital, you can go online, you can go brick and mortar. I mean, it's just endless possibilities.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes. I'm a super ADHD guy. Never was super great in school or anything like that. But I always loved video games because I felt like I could kind of create my own reality. And I think business is so similar to that. Is the reason I enjoy it so much is because you can quite literally create your own reality and really do anything you want. It's your own video game. I can decide tomorrow that we want to launch a whole new product or service, or, come up with, 10 ideas and use 2 of them. And so it keeps you on your toes, keeps things fresh. And I get bored pretty easily. So it's been something that has allowed me to really, kind of capitalize on my strengths, really. And so I enjoy it, more than anything.
No, I totally hear you, man. I think in the same way, Convoy Strength is launching a sister company. It's a software company. So I'm right there with you, man. It's I love it. Just constantly shifting focus and just expanding, creating your reality. Eric, do you have anything else for Zack? I know we kind of just went on to, just pretty much everything from, the beginning to the future. What do you have to add?
Honestly, I think so far everything's been really great. And a lot of it's just been me getting to know Zack on a different level. I'm sure Zack remembers this, but we did have a brief little communication a couple of months ago, back when his sister was coming in to join the gym. And so she's been a part of the gym for a little bit, which has been really nice. I think really the only thing that I want to know more about is kind of your business consulting and what you've been doing on that end, because I know it's something relatively recent you've been doing, and it looks like it's something that you're filling those shoes in really nicely, especially from what I've been seeing online. So if you have anything else in closing to talk about that, I'd love to hear it. But other than that, I think most of what we talked about in today's podcast, without expanding too much on some of those little details, has been really productive.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, the consulting stuff's been great. I started, I think, early last year, or sorry, no, actually early this year, with paid. Before that, I was doing, kind of meet with people for free, mentor people, give them advice. And, I've something that I think is the most important thing is seeking knowledge, never stopping your own growth trajectory, and seeking out people who know more than you, have more success than you, and just learning and absorbing info from them. I hired my first business coach when we were only a year into operating, when we had we hit 6 figures in our first year, and we were hitting consistent 5-figure months, but I just didn't know how to get bigger than that. I'd never ran a team before. I'd never grown a business or facility or anything like that. So I realized as I was on my journey and building my business that I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of really good tools from my own mentors, from obviously doing the thing. And like I said, I get a lot of my own value from helping others. Like that's my calling, I feel like. So I started offering business coaching services early this year, and, signed a couple people, couple gyms, had some calls. It was definitely like it's definitely at first, like I lacked confidence just because everyone lacks confidence when they start something new. It was the same thing when I first started coaching powerlifting. I charged like $50 a month, everyone's done that, or coach for free or gave programs. So, been doing that since then. And now it's become a real business. I mean, I've got its own thing, and I've got a roster of roughly like 6 to 8 clients. Maybe more, just depends on like the weeks and stuff like that. And people hit me up and want to do calls and things like that. But it's mostly I built it based on the foundation of there are very straightforward business principles when it comes to like service-based industries and even product-based industries. Like there are very simple principles, and the issue is what I find is in the fitness space in particular, the kind of entrepreneurs you find they get into it because they have just this massive passion for whatever it is they're doing. And they don't have the business experience, though, to maybe take the success to the level that they want it. Maybe they have the experience to make 100K, but they don't know the experience to do $500,000 and build a team around them that can really expand and do well. So I like to come in. I mean, I love helping people all over the spectrum when it comes to business, but I love, like, my favorite, honestly, entrepreneurs are when they're already hitting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10K a month in revenue, and it's from there. It's like, how do you then optimize and grow that operation? I've helped people start from the ground up with zero and build from there. But again, it comes down to kind of identifying where they're lacking. And usually in the fitness space, it's like numbers, metrics, knowing what to look for, team leadership, payroll, things like, how do you pay someone? What should the structure be? Negotiating contracts for leases and rents and, all that stuff. So I'm a big believer in just, again, having someone in your corner that you can, talk shop with, kind of talk to, because at the end of the day too, when you're a solo entrepreneur, you don't have any partners. It's hard. You have no one to talk to that can give you kind of that unfiltered advice and perspective. Your friends don't really understand. Your parents usually don't understand. A lot of people in your circle don't understand. And the idea of talking about finances and money can be taboo for some. We're raised to stay secretive when it comes to that stuff. And while I completely agree with, you keep kind of your head down, your eyes forward, and you don't want to, brag or, complain or, per se about that stuff. I also believe it's important to talk and learn so that you can grow, because the only way to grow and really understand, your shortcomings and where you need to improve is to talk about it. And a lot of times, that means having the hard conversations about what kind of debt are we in, or who do we owe, who do we owe money to, or how much money's in our bank account, how much money can we invest back in the business? What does that look like? How much should we be paying ourselves? There's no playbook for that. And they don't teach you that in business school or doing your MBA. They don't. And in fact, I feel like nowadays you get a business degree, like it's already outdated, because there's already new stuff coming out, right? With business, especially in this freaking age where it's like technology is just ramping up and taking over. So it's all about, I try to adjust problems head on. I try to really understand what a client needs and how to grow and what we need to prioritize first and go down that list. And then from there, just allowing them to flourish in their strengths, understand their weak points, and then surround themselves with people that can kind of fill those gaps as well. So it's very all inclusive. It's very, very dynamic. There's no clean cut. This is all I do. This is the solution. It's always based on the person and the conversations we have and their needs and wants and things like that. So I love it because, again, it keeps me on my toes. I get to go on calls and help people every day and learn about, their business and critically think. And it's fun. It's challenging. And I definitely feel a lot of, a sense of pride and reward when people, crush it and grow and stuff like that. So it's my jam. Definitely want to keep doing that. So if you're listening, shameless plug, and you're trying to build, a fitness business, would always love to chat, talk shop, whatever it is, even if, just talking. So it's never about making a sale or anything like that. For me, it's just helping the right people.
Yeah, for sure, Zach. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of all this, is to help each other grow. My whole belief is, I think we spend way too much time competing with one another. And honestly, I think there's no scarcity of success. There's no scarcity of money. There's no scarcity of clients.
Yeah.
There's millions of people everywhere. They need our help. It's not like I'm competing for your business, you're competing for mine. I wish more small businesses would get together and help each other grow versus trying to compete with one another while the sector is getting dominated by these huge corporations.
Exactly. I advise 2 gyms are in my same county. I work with them. And in fact, I send them people that reach out to our gym that aren't a good fit. It's never about people think that, it's scarce and, that the market's too saturated. It's not. It's really not. There's more and more people every day getting into fitness, getting into physical, fitness and health and powerlifting or whatever it is. And so, there's always going to be more customers and people want to do what you do. It's having that mindset of abundance is so important and empowering even, because then you feel, you don't feel bad about, asking questions or sharing knowledge or information or trade secrets or whatever it is. Like, we should be growing and doing this kind of together for sure. I completely agree with you.
I love it. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm not trying to compete for the business down the street. How do I go out and get new customers? How do we work together to educate? I mean, in San Diego, there's millions of people alone. I know I can't have that many members. You know what I mean? Like, I can only have a couple hundred. And beyond that, it's selfish of me to not expand what I've learned, which is part of the reason why I want to push my tech company and help other businesses basically do what Convoy Strength has done as far as become so efficient in the hardware and the software behind it. It's like, I want to help other businesses do the same thing now. I mean, same thing as what you're doing. I love it. I mean, we should definitely get on a call later and just talk business. Sounds like we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, no, for sure. Exactly.
Well, I think that's all we have for today. I mean, we don't want to drag this on too long. We'd have another guest coming on here pretty soon.
Cool. Yeah. Well, awesome. I appreciate you guys having me. I'm always down to chat.
Sweet, Zach. Thanks for tuning in.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Convoy podcast. And again, thank you, Zach, for joining us today, talking about your gym, the past, the present, and the future of what you're doing over there. Stay tuned and stay updated with us as we will be uploading more podcasts to come. Please follow us on Instagram at Convoy_strength. That's going to be the best place to follow us and find out what we're doing and what we're up to. With that being said, this has been your host, Eric, signing off. Stay safe and stay healthy. Happy holidays.